Hello, my friends. It is I, Alphinius Goo, and it is Goo Morning Zyathé, this Saturday morning show that's way better than cartoons. Yes, well, maybe not, but at least it's mildly entertaining at best. Right, Camera Mandy?
Indeed.
Ha! Say hello, Camera Mandy.
Hello.
Come on, Camera Mandy, give it a little more. Yes, you did not have your coffee yet this morning or something, yes?
I'm rolling my eyes. You can see it, but I am rolling my eyes.
My friends, it is so good to be with you this morning. We're excited about doing this crazy stream every Saturday and really trying to bring more and more information and lore and fun stuff to you about Zyathé and about game mastering and about wonderful adventures and all kinds of stuff. I'm stoked today to have this marvelous interview or discussion or talk we have had with Kerry. It is pre-recorded because she is in England, and so we wanted to get it a little bit pre-recorded, but it is a wonderful chat. And of course, Kerry is one of the many folks who have begun to write for us and who have not really written a whole lot before, although Kerry's written more than most. And this is part of our mission. You all know this, that we want to be a collaborative world, and we want to have lots of different wonderful places and things that are made not just by Alphinius and a couple of people, but by you and others, so that this world is ours, that we can all be a part of. So that's even the whole thing Jim did, right, with the parasols in Darkenhaven for, what is it, Chimera Mandy or something like that? Or Chimera Mandy. Was it Chimera Mandy? No. All right,
yes, so I have parasols of death and other things like levitation.
Well, there was quite a lively discussion over hats and the sword and the stone, and there was a whole thing about the big guy in the Harry, that guy, that guy. Well, I don't know if I can. Can we say those things? Is it okay? I don't know.
It's
okay,
fine.
That guy. We had a whole discussion about his umbrella. So there was much going on, and there was quite fun with Todd and Jason and Sterling.
Contextually, what Alphinius is talking about is in our Facebook group, the Gooey Game Master Son of Enlightenment, which if you are not in there, you should go join. I watched The Sword and the Stone a couple nights ago, posted a picture that sparked some lively conversation. It was wonderful. And basically, Alphinius needs a hat.
No, he does not. The hatters are coming out of the woodwork, and yes, but I have finally proven to people, I rest my case. When Gandalf was, Gandalf, right, and he wore a hat, he was a disheveled, sort of sloppy character, and certainly Radagast, that guy, was a mess, right? You saw him take his hat off, and you saw his hair, right? So then, of course, Gandalf was reborn. Do we remember this? He was reborn. Yes, without a hat. Ha ha! I rest my case. Camera Mandy.
So loud.
Oh, sorry about that. I apologize to all of you. So Todd, thank you for being supportive, and all the rest of you hatters out there. Anyway, so what are we doing, Camera Mandy? We're going to talk a little bit about some places, or are we going to talk to Kerry first?
Okay, well, first, I have a question from the audience.
Ah, yes, I will answer best as I can.
This is from Geeky Hoodie. And
hey, Geeky!
And he would like to know, how does one prepare goo to be eaten? Do you boil, grill, or fireball it?
So listen, there's a marvelous lore book coming, and I really believe it is coming, which is Alphinius Goo's Guide to Slimes, Oozes, Goos, and I can't remember the fourth one. Anyway, it's coming. I really want to do this next year. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And actually in there, I plan on putting a few recipes for how to cook various goos and slimes. So Geeky, I think there's options actually. You could even stew them. Yes. Oh, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
And Geeky, I want to say something real quick because I've been thinking about doing this anyway. And Geeky is a long friend and has been a marvelous encouragement to us and to many in the Gooey Den. And I am in awe of him on a regular basis of how wonderful he is as a human being. And he has encouraged me to also be even more of an encourager. And I'm going to try to do that a little bit. And I want to tell you something this morning. I want you to hear this morning. I've been around a long time. I'm getting older now, and I went through many things through my years, as most of us do through our years. Some great tragedies, actually, that break your heart, right? But I want you to know that almost always on the other side of those pains, there is wonderment. There is a sunrise that comes. And so if you are a person who's living kind of in one of those places right now, just know that the sunrise is coming and it will come, and have confidence in that and believe in that. And that will, I think, perhaps help you walk your way through sort of the difficult time that you are in. And be sure to be a person who helps others who are in those conditions. Don't ignore it if somebody puts something up on their Facebook or leaves a message somewhere or something. All right? So that's my little encouragement of the day. Geeky, thank you. You are incredible. Everyone is so appreciative of how marvelous you are to folks. So let us continue on. All right. So any other questions before we go to this next sort of things, Camera Mendy?
No, I think that we can move forward. But if anyone does have questions, we are here live in the studio, so you can put them in the chat, and I will do my best to make sure I catch them and ask Alphinius.
All right. So we're going to do a little show of something here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are a few pictures from the Gooey Den this week. So we're going to start with one that Alphinius posted.
I did, and I cut out my toe so that people would not. You can just see the edge of my toe down in the bottom.
Oh, is that what that is?
That is the toe. Yes, that is the edge of the toe. Yes. So I tried to cut it all out, and I left a little tiny piece, which was not so good. So anyway.
But appropriate for the RPG setting that we happen to be living in. So
listen, my friend. Sorry, Mandy. So anyway, listen, my friends. So we are excited to show these to you. These are the proof copies of Dark Tide's Night and Gooey Webs. What Gooey Webs we weave. And both of these, we had sort of never planned on actually making physical copies, but we are going to make a small number of them that will be used by game masters when they are running games in various conventions when they do this stuff for us, and we're going to provide those primarily only to the game masters. There is also going to be, for those game masters, a certain special limited edition copy of each that we're going to give to folks who have run games for us. And Casey, marvelous Casey, and Alexander and Harry now and Corey have been trying to really help on this game mastering thing, and we have a bunch of wonderful folks who have game mastered for us who have done such a great job. And yeah, there's a picture of Corey, right? He showed up at my house and tried to eat my food, right? Something like that. I don't remember exactly what happened, but anyway, that we happened to take a picture together, which is kind of fun. But anyway, so marvelous Casey has given me this wonderful list of all the folks who have done game mastering for us or are going to do game mastering for us in the future, and we do want to provide valuable and interesting and fun rewards because people's time is worth giving things to them. So that is something that we are doing. And of course, Gen Con, since I'm on the topic, cameraman, do you want me to talk about Gen Con or you want me to wait?
You can talk about Gen Con.
Okay. So Gen Con, we have all these incredible events. I don't know if you know this, but they literally sold out in but a matter of minutes, most of them, right?
The Gooey Cube events.
Yes, the Gooey Cube events that we have set up. And we are going to have a room. There's like 70 events that we're doing. The Dungeon of Nix, we're doing Gooey Webs, we're doing Dark Tide's Night, and the marvelous new adventure that we'll do a short version of, which is called A Menace in the Mist, authored by marvelous John. Yes, and John has done a great job. And I actually put up an image in the Gooey Den yesterday of one of the pictures from the forest, because it is creepy and marvelous, and I think your players will really enjoy A Menace in the Mist. In any case, so Gen Con, we're going to have all of these wonderful things going on, but we're also going to be having this party. And so I want to make sure everyone hears this. We are sending an email here very soon. We thought it was going to go out last week. It didn't go, but it's going to probably go this week. There will be a page on the website where you have to RSVP, okay? It's very important that you go to the RSVP page when we send out these emails. RSVP if you're coming, because we got to plan on food and we got to plan on drinks, and also you need to give us your t-shirt size, because everybody who comes to the party is going to get a t-shirt. There's more. Our marvelous Harry is bringing gifts himself. And if you know Harry, he does these wonderful, wonderful sculptures of so many things from the world of Zyathé. And he just started doing this out of the blue. And he is unbelievable and just a tremendous artist. And we are so pleased to have Harry around. You know, it's just... anyway, Harry, thank you. So that is Gen Con. So make sure you're watching for that email now, so that we can get your RSVP and make sure that everything is copacetic, if that makes sense. Did I cover that well, Camera Mendy?
Yeah, and actually, on the subject of Casey and GMing, next week we actually have something special going on that we should probably give people heads up on.
Oh yes. Okay, so yeah, I forgot about this. Okay, real quick. I didn't intend to do announcements. This is a good time. So next weekend, Casey is coming down, and Mike and Casey and Mandy and Elle and I are going to be doing this construction of the Dungeon of the Unix that he and Alexander have sort of been spearheading. How we're going to run this for a lot of different people at Gen Con. And we're going to do a stream. We're going to show the setup. We're actually going to do a little video to show anybody who wants to game master sort of how to run the thing. And we'll even show like these gooey bucks that we're going to be giving out as prizes that you can actually use kind of as money at the Gooey Cube booth. So that'll be wonderful for people. If they win some gooey bucks, they can come spend some money, and also maybe get a special portrait or something like that we will have available. So that should be a lot of fun. So that's happening next weekend. And we're going to have Casey on, I feel like for the third time. I feel like this man keeps showing up in our streams.
This is only the second time. But yeah, so that's going to be taking place at around 11:30 after Goo Morning Zyathé.
Yes, and we'll probably bring some excerpts into the following Goo Morning Zyathé if it's interesting enough and fun. Yeah. By the way, did everybody see those marvelous pictures in the den that Camera Mandy posted? They were wonderful, Camera Mandy. Yeah. Of the Dungeon of the Unix. There's like 30 some of them. They are as good as anything you see on the internet in terms of dungeon setups, and just really, it's really, really good. Worth a look if you got a chance.
Yeah, we'll show pictures of it next week, since I thought it was more in theme for next week.
Deal. Yeah, yes, I'd love to show those. I think people would love to see them too, Mandy.
Absolutely.
All right. What else?
Okay, so our final talking point of the day is actually shipping.
Oh, yes. So yes. We have all kinds of stuff going out, right? So we have Chapter 4, we have Gooey Dice, we have the West Verdestia tome, the West Verdestia map that goes with the tome, and then also the West Verdestia map pack. And people have been, and t-shirts, right? And people have been putting up stuff, and it's really exciting to see you when you post these up. So please keep posting, because for me it makes me feel good, because we have had some shipping issues in the past where boxes have been literally thrown and total corners just totally destroyed, and we've had to replace things for people, which we will always do, my friends. If you get a box that is destroyed by the shipping people, you tell us and we will fix that, okay? That we do not want that to be your problem, all right? So that's a very important thing that we want to do, okay? But thank you all for putting these wonderful posts up and letting us see your stuff and your materials. There's one that we wanted to show, but we might show it next week, because we wanted to make sure it was okay to have that picture shown. So, all right, Camera Mandy, we're going to do a little lore? Is that what we want to do before we do Kerry?
This next section of the show, we're still titling all of our sections, but we'll say Gooey Art right now. And basically, we're going to show pieces of art, and Alphinius is going to talk about the lore behind them.
All right.
So you ready?
Yes. So, my friends, in Valandia, it is said that people who have blood touch disappear and are never heard from again. Valandia, of course, is on the Essenverd, which is East Verdestia, which we are working on right now. In Valandia, there is a locality called Valdezar Prison. And Valdezar Prison is where most of the blood touch go and never emerge. There is great lore behind this Valdezar Prison, my friends. There is great lore behind Valandia. I think you will love it. I think it will be scary and intriguing and most fun for your players. Valdezar Prison. You like it, Mandy?
Oh my God, I almost started crying. Like the idea that, I'm not even kidding, because I play the Gooey campaigns with my family, and the idea that blood-touched people go to like an institution of some kind to get converted back, I don't even know, like that, heart-wrenching.
Well, that is a little bit of a tale still in the telling, yes. Yeah. But know this, it is said that the Valandians will take their ships loaded with corpses to the vile desolation, and then return with blood-touched people thereon, which means that perhaps they are not just cleansing their empire, perhaps there is a deeper story that is being told.
Oh, so dark. It's so dark. It's so dark, but I have like goosebumps. Okay. So on a lighter note, hopefully, here's the next piece of art.
So this is a marvelous tavern picture. I'm going to do a few more of these because I just think they give such a beautiful feel to adventuring and all of this stuff. This is the adventuring group called the North Riders. And this is the tavern. What did we say this was? I can't remember.
The Night Rider?
Yeah, well, the Night Riders was the group, but I can't. This was the Coin and Cloak. I think.
Was it the Gangers?
Oh yes, it was Jäger's Stein. That's right, Jan. Haha. Yes, Jäger's Stein. That's right. So they're in the tavern called Jäger's Stein, and they are planning in Darkenhaven, by the way, and they are planning an assault on Mu'uz Duran. Yes, so when we do our tours, which we are beginning here soon, we aren't sure when we're going to do that, but we're literally going to start taking sections of the Westverd to begin and then the Essenverd and move forward. We're literally going to go and have tours of various places where we will show map, we will show artwork, and a little bit of lore about each one of those things. So we think it's going to be a lot of fun for you to be able to see it. Anyway, those North Riders, go back there real quick, camera Mindy. So those North Riders are planning an assault on Mu'uz Duran. And Mu'uz Duran, of course, is the famed Aethernic city of Telsanthrod, which during the Woe of Ruin actually was floating over the Verdestian continent, the West Verdestian continent, and turned completely over and slowly crashed to the face of the planet. And so now there is this marvelous upside down ancient city filled with all manner of artifact and all manner of abomination that is spewing corrupted magical emanations everywhere around it. Of course, affecting Blackrot Bog, and this is some of the lore that you may already know if you are running the Red Star Rising campaign.
Okay, so is that also like where the Dungeon of Dunix is around?
The Dungeon of Dunix is in. I can't remember if the dungeon. I don't believe so.
I thought it was like.
It might have been on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
You can't do that to me, cameraman, because
I'm
I've got
sorry.
so many things that I'm trying to remember. But I could check it real quick if you want me to check
it's
it.
fine. Okay, I do want to clarify something. Okay, because you keep saying the Westford.
Yes.
And I'm assuming it is this, and I know this is a lame question, but sometimes Alphinius just talks and I just
No, that is very fair. So the West Verdestian people tend to call the West Verdestia side of the continent the Westverd, right? And the East Verdestians tend to call the eastern side of the continent the Essenverd or Esverde. Okay, so this is like locals do, in areas, right? But on the maps, it is West Verdestia. Yes, that makes sense. So that is what we...
No, I really like that. I think that's a good... Okay,
a little colloquialism, as it were.
Yes. Okay, so before we move on to the next one, because we have 2 more pieces of art to show.
All right.
We have a question. Any chance you will ever sell prints or posters of some of your art?
Yeah, I think this is not the first time this question has been asked, and I think we are going to do it. And I think that the thought process is that perhaps we might come out with a couple a year that are actually limited edition, they're actually numbered, that we won't ever do again, that kind of stuff. Because obviously, if you're going to spend a little money, the opportunity to maybe have it become a collectible in the future is obviously far better than just, here, they've done thousands of these posters and all that kind of stuff. So it is in our minds, and it is a great question. I mean, there's, even behind me on the wall, you can't really see, but the bottom of it is the marvelous city of Darkenhaven. And it's with the falls that are coming down. Are you going to move the camera?
I'm gonna zoom out.
Yeah, do that. So you can see when you look at it, right there is the Maw, which is the opening into the Gloom Port. You can see the Mistrewn River where it splits at Governor's Island, and the falls come down. And of course, there on Governor's Island is many marvelous and interesting things. Not the least of which is Castle Darkenhaven itself. And there's a marvelous group of people, like 40 of them, who got together and sort of began to help work on the Darkenhaven city itself, spearheaded by Jens, and then Casey's helping him, and then other people are helping as well. And if you've been watching, right, you got to see the God's Ward map most recently, but the other 3 maps that are done, and it is spectacular. So again, this is a tour that we might want to do in the future of Darkenhaven itself, but we got to get all the maps done first. So any other questions, Camera Mandy?
We got a spam comment.
I like. Well, tell me what the spam comment is. That's the best. Unless it's dirty.
Okay, want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on. And I'm not going to put the thing.
So
but Alphinius is already famous.
Camera Mandy, listen. We know this, my dear. Right? We have never paid for a single follower ever, and we never will. And somehow the Gooey Den has like 1,400 people in it, and somehow our Discord, even though we don't mostly use it for events, right? Our Discord has 500, 600 people in it. I just, I like what's going on with us. And by the way, all you marvelous people who are in that Gooey Den, who are always nice and kind and have good things to say rather than being jerks, right? People who just lift my day and lift others' day. You are marvelous. Thank you for making the Den so special and so fun and so interesting. Wonderful posts like Kevin puts up stuff, or Heather, right, which are just really good. Jim puts up things. Jen puts up these humorous things all the time that are just so marvelous, and so many other folks just make the Den so fun.
And I love Nerf Herder's comment. We pay for followers by being awesome and kind, and absolutely it is true. So we love our community, and so if you're just tuning in, FYI, please come join us on our Facebook or the Discord.
Yes, the Gooey Den, which you can just go right off the Facebook page. It's the only group that's there. It's called the Gooey Game Masters Den of Enlightenment, right? So I'm going to dab a bit, Camera Mandy, because
fine.
you know how this is.
I'm going to transition over to our next piece of art here.
Oh, yes. So we are working on some lore around this artwork. Now, many have never seen this before, I don't believe. So when you look at West Verdestia, there are two fairly significant sovereign states that are on the western side of the Essenverd. Did I say East Verdestia, Camera Mandy, or did I say West Verdestia?
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't listening to you.
Anyway, talking of the East Verdestian continent, on the western side of the East Verdestian continent, which is called the Essenverd or Esverde by the locals, there are two nation states called Donvan in the north and Vanzentia in the south. These are both fairly significant nations, the Donvinians being very trade focused, right? Very focused on deals, right? In fact, there's a saying that if you shake hands with a Donvinian, yes, you better check to make sure you got all your fingers back after you're done. Yes, something like that. So anyway, the Donvinians have basically had not necessarily really strong army, navy, because they have so many trade alliances and all that stuff. They have believed for a long time that they could defend themselves using those alliances and didn't have to spend so much of their hard-earned coin on national defense. They have had some issues with the Vanzentians in the past, a little bit of skirmishes at the border, but they've never really come to serious blows. However, the Volandians of late have really begun to push the empire outward. Their attack and subsequent war on the Adjuvandun archipelago is significant. And these Volandians are bloodthirsty, and they are nefarious, and they are really expansionistic and totalitarian. And they are starting to rattle their sabers at the borders of Vanzentia. And the Donvinians, some years back, already were thinking they might have to build up their national defense. So this is Everus, yes? Was that what it is, Mandy? Is that correct?
Averdonis.
Averdonis, yes, thank you. Thank you.
I have sticky notes, and they're not spelled at all right.
Well, the thing is, I can't take no notes, right? Because she says, keep your laptop closed, right? So, and Averdonis is a city which the Donvinians have been funding of substance for some years now, some annums. And Averdonis is a site of magical learning, and they have recruited many significant mages from around Verdestia as well as the world to come here, paid them very handsomely to be a part of this place because they are trying to amp up their national defense. So that is the primary thing. There is also whispers, but we do not know if this is true, that they are exploring the ancient city of Amesthal, at least from the ground. So Amesthal is the only flying city of the Aetherns that remains, and it hangs over the molten ruins of Salium in the Dawnspire Mountains just to the east of Donvan. So that's more lore that we will talk about in the future, but it is wonderful, and there's some great artwork of that. So, all right, the last one, the camera Mandy.
Yes, and this is going to take us into our interview with Kerry.
Yes, Kerry, you are marvelous. It was so much fun, so much fun. So this, my friends, this is the Gloomendine Forest. The Gloomendine Forest is on West Verdestia and lies both in the Vile Desolation ruled by the Dreadlich Kalnovic and the Oroconide-controlled lands of Magdranog, which was Kalanta in past before it was conquered. The Gloomendine is very interesting, and I'm not going to overhang the market, Camera Mandy, because we talked about it in the interview, right? But the Gloomendine is very interesting because of a number of things, but in particular because of the Feyari that abide there. And I think that is enough for me to say about this until our marvelous Kerry gets to say a little bit more. So, do you want to do that now, Mandy? What do you think?
We are about to transition over to Kerry and Alphinius.
Wonderful.
We'll see you guys. Keep commenting. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you after the interview.
All right.
Hello, friends. It is I, Alphinius Goo, with Kerry, marvelous Kerry, who it is her birthday today. So say happy birthday. Yay.
Thank you.
It is good to see you, Kerry. Good to see you.
You too.
So we're talking with Kerry today because she is one of the marvelous authors who helped us make the Westford. And for those of you who've gotten it, I hope that you love it. I hope that it is igniting your imagination. I hope you've been able to use it as a weapon if someone tried to break into your home, for it is quite heavy. Yes, Kerry?
It is thick.
So, as most of you may know, or at least I think a lot of folks know, our goal with Gooey Cube is not just to make stuff, make interesting games and adventures and stuff like that. Our goal is also to give opportunity to up-and-coming writers and up-and-coming artists and to really create this collaborative world. And we happened to cross paths. Yes, Kerry, how did that happen? Tell me about sort of how this whole thing began.
Well, we were playing the campaign, the first chapter, and at some point we got an email saying, hey, join the Discord. So we did, and it's funny because we were having a few little problems regarding rests and stuff. So as soon as I hopped into the Discord, I was like, hey, is there a place I could do some constructive criticism? And then Alphinius is like, why don't you jump into voice with me? And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Never.
No, it was lovely. It was lovely. So that's how we met, and he talked through those issues and made it all better. And
well, at least I tried to give some options, right, so that there are different things. But
made it all better.
I know you were getting beaten up by Alexander. He was being too hard.
Yeah, a little bit. We were getting smushed by spiders, I think it was. Yeah.
But, I think I know exactly about that, right? But I won't say anything for spoilers, right? So.
So yes, dear Alphinius was lovely, and we were hanging around Discord for a while, and I was like, because I love Feyari, and I was like, when are we going to hear more about the Feyari? When? And it's there's a tale in the telling, So I decided to write some myself, and I showed it to Alphinius, and he was like, I like this. Let's do this. And so I'm like, yes, that's amazing. And then we just started collaborating together, and then that's how the Feyari stuff started, and how I started writing for Gooey Cube, really.
Well, I so enjoyed and still enjoy this craziness, chatting back and forth with you. And what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And of course, you have so many wonderful ideas. And in particular, there's one that I can't take credit for at all, was, this whole idea, because we didn't want to have sort of what other people have done and redo sort of these demi-planes and stuff like that, where you go to phase and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have something different, right? And remember that, Kerry? We were doing all that.
Yeah, because I was originally thinking Archfey in the traditional sense, but then you were like, no. We need something different. It's like, well, what if they're locations? And I'm like, yes, and they're called Wild Hearts.
Yes,
and then we just ran with it, didn't we?
Yes, and that was the beginning, right, of the Wild Hearts, which are really, really marvelous and really unique Fey lore, right? So it's our own, right? It's not some redone by 5 other people that is, in 5 different worlds. So tell us a little bit about the Wild Hearts. Tell a little bit how, because I remember that there was a wonderful conversation. We were going back and forth, and tell me about sort of this Wild Heart and what it is, right? So people can understand.
So it's something natural. So it could be a tree, it could be a big rock, it could be a cave, something like that. But the thing about it is it's got a sort of sentience, but it doesn't really think how normal creatures think. It expresses itself through emotions. So and then there's these people who can link to these wild hearts and like be able to tell what these wild hearts are up to and like influence them in turn. And you can give them power by feeding them emotions.
Yeah, right? Gain power and give power.
Yeah,
right?
So like the Seelie might have a big joyous party around a wild heart, and the wild heart just soaks up all that positivity, and the Unseelie not so great things.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Child friendly.
Yes.
So anyway, so we ended up with these marvelous places inside the forests, right? Which are really still in the realm, right? They're still in the real prime material plane and all that kind of stuff. But when people pass beyond the boundary of the Wild Heart's influence, right, everything becomes very different. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so the wild hearts like have this aura, and sort of like this. It's got this like boundary around it. It's called a Wilden.
Yes.
And it creates like a safe area for the fairy that live around it, and that could be in the form of like a simple barrier of force, or it might make illusions, or it might just teleport you away from it.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of magical protections that it puts in place. I mean, you move into the Wild Iron as a non-fairy, right? Or even a fairy that was not welcomed, you're going to have problems, right? You're going to have some real difficulties. So there's a wonderful lore around that whole thing. Now listen, so we went a little crazy, right? At the beginning, you and me and even some other folks, right? Alexander was one of them, but there was others who threw things here and there at us, but it was mostly you and me. We're talking about this craziness. And all of a sudden we talked about what if there was undead fairy? You remember this? Remember that?
Yeah.
Tell us about the Gloom and Dine. Tell us just a little bit, just with our flavors, because that is in the Westward, right? Go ahead.
That is such a good story, and it really is presented in story format in the book. I don't know how many spoilers I can give, but essentially there's these bad people who kind of get corrupted by the influence of a very, very bad man called Kalnavik.
Yes, the Dread Lich. Yes, the Dread Lich.
And they go to their Wild Heart, and essentially they do this ritual that turns it into an undead Wild Heart in a sense. Yes. And that Wild Heart, like it just like the magic spreads out in its Wilden area and turns all of the court into undead as well. And not only that, but the Wild Heart then goes and attacks another Wild Heart that's nearby and kind of eats it. I want to say
consumes, right? It's a consumption sort of thing. Yes, marvelous.
All the fairy there are undead as well, but not as intelligent. So
right, but it basically puts the Seelie and the Unseelie courts together as undead. Yes, is that kind of what happens, right?
And then they're definitely not quite like the other courts.
No. And then of course we've got some situations in the Netherlands, right, where there are corrupted fairy, right, and scary.
Really scary.
Kerry, I just want to tell you that it would not be the same without you, and it is amazing and incredibly. I got that book. I got that Westford, and the first copy, and I held it. And I got a little almost misty-eyed because obviously you made that wonderful, and it wasn't just. I want to talk about Altriva in a little minute because that essay is marvelous. But it wasn't just the fairy in the forest, right? There was other things you did to help us with that. But you were not the only one, right? There was marvelous other contributing authors. I think, what about 10 others, right? 12 others.
Yeah, it was a massive group effort. Like all of us, like piled into that one document, like just helping each other get it right. It was amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's the first time that we actually published something that was done from the collaborative format, right? Which of course, I can't remember if I've mentioned this, but I don't know if I've told you this, but I've told others. I think we're well over in the hundreds of people who've actually done contributions, actual individuals who have done. Some people have done lots of contributions and extra ones, but we have, I think, probably 150, 200, maybe even 250. I haven't counted, so I don't know. Individuals who've actually made contributions. And then, of course, we've had probably 30, 40, 50 contributing authors that either have done stuff or are doing stuff now. And then, of course, there was the Dark and Haven Writers Guild. And I mean, and it really is coming together. Tell me I want you to tell me a little bit about your sort of background and how you became a writer, because your writing is marvelous. I told you this before. It is beautiful, and it's got zing, right? It's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your background while I take a sip of my coffee.
Well, I mean, I suppose it all begins, when you're a kid, you read a lot, and then you just sort of soak all that in. And I was like, as a kid, I was reading all this fantasy, just so much of it. A lot of it I should not have been reading at the age I was reading it at, but thick books, So that's where it all started, like the love of it. But then, I started writing myself, and I just kept writing. And some people here and there were like, hey, do you want to write this and that for us? But it wasn't really anything I wanted to do, It was like game reviews and things. And, I haven't really had any...
Boring. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't had any, I don't have a degree or anything. I just started writing and didn't stop. And it's just sort of ended up here, which is where I really want to be.
Well, Kerry, as I've said to you many times, I'm so pleased our paths crossed, and I am excited for the future and the things that I really hope we will continue on with Gooey Cube. You obviously had some experience doing writing, but many of our folks have never ever before. I think about Marvelous Chris, and I think about Christian and Michelle, and I think about Casey, right? Who would, you remember the Netherlands, right? And folks, when you
incredible.
read the Netherlands, and Christy and Michelle did the Blue Shines, right? And Chris has all these wonderful places that are in there, and there's so many more, right? The Vile Desolation would not be the same without Alexander and you, really, because you helped out there too. And of course, wonderful Magdranog without Jim, right? Would not be the same, right? And so, and now, of course, in the Westward, you have a little bit of you in that because you're helping us with the fairy lore there as well. And I don't want to get onto that track. I've got to be careful here. I don't want to get on that track because
the Essenvert,
yeah, Altriva. Yes, the Essenvert. Did I say the Westward? My
yeah.
Does Alphinius say my bad? I have to think about it. I don't think Alphinius would ever say that. So I won't say that.
It's canon now.
It's canon. Oh, my bad. Yes, this will be the new thing. Yes. So Kerry, listen. So tell us about Queen Altriva, and because you and I had a chat about her, and she was originally the creation of AJ, right? And we had this bit of lore that wasn't too deep, that some believe she may have murdered her mother. Yes, and the decadent people of Andvala and all of this stuff. So tell us about her, and then I really want to read this essay, and if Camera Mandy lets me, I might take a break from the book that we are reading, the Ventenium Alunax, and read Altriva's essay, because it is
it is good, if I might say so.
Tell us about this. No, it is magnificent.
Well, I mean, we were just having that conversation about her that day and talking a little bit about her background, and I was just like, you've got to let me write her essay. You've got to, because I felt that it kind of had to come from a female voice, and I felt like I could do it justice, because look, it's a very emotional thing, that letter. And I have a lot of rage bubbling down inside me. If you can believe it. So, no, in all seriousness, it was an example of how to use your emotions to write. And it's quite cathartic in a way.
Listen, Kerry, if you have the Westward, I just recommend you open that book up, the Encyclopedia Volume 2, Westward Destia, and go find Andvala and read Altriva's essay. Of course, I'm probably going to be reading it here in a few minutes because I'm sure Camera Mandy's going to give in to me. All right, Kerry, I know Camera Mandy's going to get mad at me because I'm looking at time, but it's okay. We're going to go a little longer. So tell us about Carissa Ambershue, because we're doing this, right? We're bringing all these characters to the world of Zyathé that are our characters, right? Even Alphinius. So tell us about Carissa.
You said I needed to write an essay from a character's perspective, and then you threw that name out at me, and I was like, I like that.
Of course, it has an apostrophe, right? It's a little
yeah. So I really like that. So I went with that and figured out how she looks and what she's kind of up to, and she's quite intriguing because she's the lore master of the Ambershue court, and her thing is kind of sticking her nose into the affairs of all the other courts. So and then writing about it.
Yes, she's having a good time in the Essenverd now too, right?
She's gone to the Essenverd and she's said a few interesting things, you know. And
I want to interrupt you for a second because we got something interesting going on in the Essenverd that I want you to tell people about. Is there not some lore about like Seelie and Unseelie courts kind of maybe joining forces? What totally new, different thing, right? That's never happened. So tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Oh,
just you can do it. It's okay. Little spoiler is fine.
That's a bit juicy, isn't it? Though
it's juicy, yeah. So the Seelie and Unseelie are coming together because they're kind of looking around and thinking, "Man, maybe we need to protect our own, or else we're going to have a problem here, right?" So
it's definitely their circumstance is not one that they chose. I'll say that much. They were put together by a great force of fate, and they essentially have to work together, or had to work together, and now they really truly are working together.
And even intermingling a little bit, right? So now we have this sort of mix of between the Seelie and the Unseelie going on, and all that stuff, right?
It is very juicy. I'm very excited for people to read that one. There's definitely, because there's fewer courts in the Essenverd. I've had a chance to really stretch out, you know, the story a little bit of each court. So I've really been enjoying that over the last week or so.
Yes,
it's been a lot of fun.
So I'm almost done. Yes, we've got to move to the forests. And then, of course, I know you're helping Alexander because he's doing the Avoda Malu, and you're helping him with that. And I don't know, you know, you've seen how it's blowing up. I mean, AJ just did this marvelous history. I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet. And there's a great essay from Starn Filan, which, if I do say so myself, I'm pretty proud of. So just enjoy the Westverd right now, my friends, but know that the Essenverd that is coming is going to be magnificent. All right, now I'm looking at time, right? It's well past our cameraman time. But I want you to talk before we're done. Tell us about your cosplay.
Okay, so my character in the campaign itself, I can't be playing Carissa because she's way too high level. So I have this character called Esmeralda, and she's a spell dancer. She's a human, and she's got an abyssal blood touch. So she's got the horns, she's got purple skin, yellow eyes, no tail. I didn't quite go that far. But I was supposed to go to Gen Con last year, but you know what happened there. I really wanted
to Gen Con.
I'm trying.
With us. Kerry is in England, by the way, for those of you who do not know. So getting her here.
I don't think they caught on, you know. I don't think they knew that.
Well, you could have had an accent, just be hanging out in Atlanta or something like that, right?
I mean, I am moving to the US at some point as soon as this craziness sorts itself out. Yeah, but yeah, my cosplay is Esmeralda. Well, I just want to say, for anyone who's an aspiring writer, don't worry too much about like the obstacles that get in your way. Like, if you want to write, just write. Like, you don't need a degree. I didn't get one. Like, yeah,
I completely
especially if you show Alphinius Goo here, because he has the most loveliest soul and gives pretty much anyone a chance, as far as I can tell.
Well, we're trying to do that for folks, and it's a goal. But listen, I can't agree with you more, Kerry. Right, friends. And also, we have that little group on Saturday mornings before Goo Morning Zyathé in the Discord. So this is all part of the Gooey thing, right? So yes, and Kerry, you've been there quite a number of times yourself, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hosted a session. I have a document pinned in there if anyone wants to go back and read that. it's about creating characters for your story. So.
Well, listen, Kerry, thank you for spending time with us, and it is marvelous as always to see your smiling face. And
you.
Let's talk to you soon, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Haha, Kerry, marvelous, thank you. I hope you all really enjoyed that. I had a great time chatting with her, and we're gonna do this a lot. This is something Cameron, Mandy, and I talked about, is to bring on our people. I can't wait. There's so many folks I want to talk to. I want to talk to Jim about my Grenog. I want to talk about with Christy and Michelle about the Blue Shines. There's AJ, who has these marvelous places that he created in the Leviathan Bay. There's I think I mentioned Chris and Ben, who did all these wonderful intermediary places. This is all just in the Westward, right? And then we have all kinds of cool things that are coming that we're going to be working with folks on. Kerry already began a little bit of work with the dragons, but the Riegers and I have a little plan for dragons. As you all know, we have all these monsters that people have brought forth, and we are working on them. We've been posting them. So anyway. All that said and done, we're going to try to do a lot of this. I can't wait. In particular, I want to bring our Sundestia group on, because Sundestia is going to be magnificent and really, I think, unique and fabulous, and a place to travel with most interest. So anyway, my friends, I promised I would read this essay, and I wish to do it. And I can see Camera Mandy is setting me up so that I have to go to the other camera, right over there, right, Camera Mandy? Yes, haha, she wants me to go to this camera. Or do you want me to go back and forth, Camera Mandy, like this? Camera Mandy?
I can't keep up.
All right, I will stay right here. Okay, right.
Well, you're going to be looking down at your
That is
computer,
true.
so it doesn't really matter.
That is true. Now listen, my friends, long ago I had a much better falsetto. So you have to put up with me because of these not so young vocal cords anymore. But I will do my best to give Altriva the feel that I think Kerry was trying to go for when she wrote this. And I will give you a little warning, it's a little steamy, okay? So there's a little bit of language in here that is a bit aggressive. But I think without it doesn't have the same power and impact that Altriva is trying to speak to. And you have to understand the mindset of this young queen. This young queen is not her mother or her grandmother. She wants to change Andavala. She wants to stop the decadence. She wants to stop the mortgaging of their future with borrowing coin to run lavish parties and have all kinds of crazy projects that do nothing for Andavala. Indeed, some believe she might even have ambitions to attack the Republic. But this could only be rumor and conjecture. Yes? All right, so this letter is written to her consort, who is Prince Victor. And Victor is actually her brother. And indeed, they did wed some time ago following the death of her mother. So there is a very interesting tale around that, and more lore growing about Queen Altriva and Victor. So without further ado, a personal letter from Queen Altriva, found in the deep records, Andvala section, acquired by an unnamed agent. Subject, a letter from Queen Altriva to her now brother husband, Prince Consort Victor, dated the 30th of Azuun, 1209, 2 months after their mother's death. Dearest Victor, it will undoubtedly sadden you to hear that I have been melancholy since your departure to the Leffenfeld. Without you by my side, the phantoms of our childhood creep ever closer, like hungry wraiths desirous of my soul. How I wish you were here to hold my hand in the dark, as you used to do, and chase the nightmares away. I simply cannot shake the image of Mother's pale, sunken face as she gasped out her last breath. Her spirit haunts me, Victor, I am certain of it, both in night and day. I cannot seem to pass a moment without being reminded of her hateful being. I can barely even look in the mirror anymore because all I see is her looking back at me with those terrible eyes. Eliana tries to comfort me, but our dear sweet little sister cannot begin to understand all that burdens me. Mother doted on her, and Anandro as well, and hid from them all the woes of our family faces, and hid from them her own despicable self as well. How I envy them sometimes for their carefree lives. Sometimes I want to be cruel to them, but I must remind myself not to be like Mother was to you and to me. How I wish people knew what really went on behind those closed doors. It sickens me that the fawning noble sycophants of our court expect so much from me now. Is it not their fault that our queendom is as it is, their decadence, their indulgences, and their grotesque debauchery, all exacerbated by our mother's willingness to fling open the doors of our treasury like a harlot opens her legs and pissing out gold? They would have been happy to keep drinking at that font if it were not for the threat of losing the Leffenfeld to the treacherous Valandians. I thank the gods that those in the Leffenfeld and Passand came to me when they did with their offer to assist in our gambit. Without them, we would not be where we are now. Still in my mind I count them as selfish fools all the same, for they did only what they did out of self-preservation and would have been happy to keep our mother as queen otherwise. Now that I sit upon the Emerald Throne, it is as though they have forgotten the peril we are in. Only yesterday did Lord Fortingast come to ask me if we are having the silver and gold masquerade this year, and what I will do to upstage all that have come before it. Pathetic. It angers me to no end that the traitorous bitch of a mother that we have put our blessed lands up as collateral in order to borrow so much money, with no plans of paying it back, just so that she might be loved and adored by these slobbering bootlickers. And now I must be the one to fix all of this? What justice is there in this, Victor? People keep offering me their condolences and telling me how beautiful, kind, and wise she was, and I must sit there like a doll with a painted smile on my face, trying not to vomit, to scream at them, to strip bare my flesh and show them the scars from her lessons, or worse, the scars on my very soul, which I fear has become a twisted and ugly thing. But is not your soul the same as mine, Victor? Still, I must not discount our true ally among the nobles. Duchess Aquinos has proven herself once again to be more than competent. I shall not say too much in this missive, but her efforts have uncovered some interesting developments regarding our dwarven friends. When you are back with me once more, we must discuss it together, all three of us, how to proceed. Of course, I have already decided to put you in charge of those aspects related to the military, dear Victor, with our brother Anandro assisting, of course, not only because you are the only one I would trust with such matters, but also because of your prowess with these things. I had to pause in writing just now to laugh because I was reminded of when you used to play with your wooden army. Remember how you would painstakingly craft formations and maneuvers with hundreds of figurines laid out across the ballroom. You'd get so angry when some noble's boy would come in with their filthy, sticky hands, grabbing at your soldiers and making stupid sounds as they bashed them together. Still, they soon stopped after you took out that fat canty boy's eye with your practice blade. An accident, naturally, but how I laughed to see them give you your due respect after that. Oh, it does make me smile to think of you, my truest brother and friend. It is almost enough to drive these demons from my mind, for a time at least. Our palace feels so empty with you away, as it is though my soul has been halved. Though I am, of course, surrounded by insufferable, cajoling lords and ladies, they all press upon me like a weight, all of them trying to woo me themselves or offer their sons, their brothers, their cousins to me like prize boars ready to breed a sow. How could I ever accept any of them when none of them could ever hope to understand me? You must think more of my plan, Victor. Only you can save me from these sweating, rutting swine, fat from years of feeding at our mother's trough. I could only ever bear to have you with me in my bed, holding me in times of weakness and despair. Only you will ever be scared of the darkness that I hold in my heart, for we are both products of the evil that birthed us. I hope that when you return, you will have the answer I crave to hear. I know it will be a scandal, but won't it be worth it for the shock on their piggish faces? Forgive my digressions. If we can capitalize on the intelligence we have gathered, it may be enough to keep the Valandians at bay. They have promised us time so that I may consolidate my power and to gather the debt that is owed, but I still live in terror of seeing their ships on the horizon. I fear there may be very little to stop them if they wanted to take what we owe by force. They are nothing but devils in human guise, and I am certain they will break any agreement no matter the terms. Those who would seek to own the world would surely stop at nothing and would gladly strip away our sovereignty. Well, they do not know who they face now, Victor. We are not weak like our mother was. We must prepare, and to do that, we need to turn Anvala on its head and make our fat nobles bend to our will. Hurry back to me, Victor, my love. We have much planning to do. Is that not marvelous?
You were getting a lot of reactions.
Kerry, it is marvelous. Yes, it is so emotional and deep, and you feel her, right? You feel this queen, right?
Yeah. So here are some of the comments.
Tell me.
Oh, damn, this one is spicy.
Yes, a little spicy to be sure.
I can't say the word because.
Yes, you can, Caramani.
This crap is amazing, but the other one, the S word. Second time I've heard this and still gives me chills.
Yeah, so good.
And I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Gooey goodness.
Thank you all.
Yeah, glorious gooey goodness. There we go.
Yeah, it is a great tale. And as you... What, Mandy?
Alphito says, Kerry, write my obituary one day.
I'm sure that she could be employed to do so, right?
Yes. So yeah, you're getting a lot of...
Well, thank you. I'm glad you all really enjoyed that. It is marvelous. And part of this thing we are doing, actually, is to try to encapsulate sort of the motivations of the leaders of these various nations so that you can kind of understand where they're coming from, right? The essay by Hernesh that was written by Jim, the essay by Alexander that was written for the Vile Desolation for Kalmavik, even what is coming with the essays regarding Vanzentia and Donvan and the Valandians, of course. Excuse me. So we're going to do the gods here, and then we are done for the day. Is that what our plan is, Mandy?
Yeah. The thing is that it's actually 10:58. Like that's.
Oh, well, you know what? Why don't we let us just cease? This is good. This is a marvelous. It would be anticlimactic in my mind to end on anything except for we must do the Morn masks. Yes, because we said we were going to do that. Yes. So these are Jacob's marvelous creations, and if you saw them initially in the Gooey Den, we posted them up. They got a tremendous number of likes and comments and all of this stuff. And I'm not going to go deep into the lore because we're saving all of the sort of stats and how they go and what they are. But these are actually undead, obviously, and they are children that have had a terrible thing done to them. And Jacob initially had this marvelous lore about just a few of them and a single sort of antagonist that sort of created them. But we think that it's better if there is a recipe that maybe other vile necromancers might employ in other places of the world, allowing these incredible, scary little monsters with their stained glass teeth to do their worst, not just in a small area, but all over the world.
So can they, by any chance, be turned to good? Like, if you just cared for them, if you were just parents to them, could they be? Oh,
sweet little Mornmaz! Yes. Don't bite my neck. Yes, don't. Yes, no, Cameramendi. In any table, anything is possible, right? So this is intriguing, but they are relatively savage, at least as far as I understand them. And I think Jacob might be watching, so if he wanted to type something in there and say something, but I think they are relatively savage and quite scary, and you really don't want 7 or 8 of them jumping on top of you all at once, right? They are fast. They scream screech really with creepy sounds, and you can just feel how, just looking at that one image, you sit there and go, oh my goodness, right? This is a marvelous monster that we're going to be bringing to the Weirded World. And by the way, I know you've all been seeing them. The Cyclopedia Monstrica for Verdestia, which will be a single tome that will encapsulate monsters only from the Westverdian continent, right? The West Verdestian continent. They will be hopefully kickstarted next year. That's our plan. But I'm trying to get ahead of it, because if you do a monster, sort of book that has, 200, or so pieces of artwork in it, or maybe more, it's going to take some time. So you can see the confidence that I have in the future, right? That this is going to be quite wonderful. So Jacob, hats off to you, my friend. These Morn masks are marvelous and well appreciated by your friends in the Gooey Den. So that is our thing. So we'll do the gods of the Feyari. We're gonna do that next time, Camera Mandy. Or do we we got a bunch of stuff. So we got Casey coming down to the Dungeon of Du'u-Nix. We've got these fairy gods, and we are trying to do information about the gods without digging too deep, so you aren't sitting there, being overwhelmed by the minutia, right? But the gods of Zyathé are very interesting, and our application of polytheism, I think, is much more intriguing than perhaps you might have experienced in other places. Any comments, cameraman?
Yes. So Feldari, who is my husband, had a funny comment. He called it "forbidden Skittles teeth."
Yes, they're not Skittles. So
I married him for his humor, guys.
Jacob, I hope you're watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing your marvelous creation coming to, well, not really life.
Okay, we do have a couple of actual questions.
Yes, go.
Okay, so Kerry wants to know if we can get some of the artists who do the amazing art on the show.
Maybe it is a discussion that we have had. So that is a possibility that we might be looking at in our future for sure.
Okay, and then are we still doing another NSRE as the submission?
So I'm holding off on this, and I apologize. I know I've been kind of mysterious about it a little bit, but I am looking at a couple of different things that are going on, and the things that we are trying to produce right between now and that November timeframe when we wanted to ship. I think we wanted to be done in the October-November timeframe for the Kickstarter, and so I'm just trying to make sure that we fill some holes that need to be filled. So that is why I'm sort of slow rolling this next submission round. By the way, I don't know if you know this, I think we've done 9 submission rounds, 9 of them. And when you get the Westford book, you're going to see quite a number of folks in there that, Anthony gave us this marvelous Good Fortune's boon, and you're going to see the Black Eagle Bed and Breakfast, which is Jason and Christina, and of course there's a bunch of them. I'm not going to name everybody, but I am going to try to drop names regularly. So don't feel like if I forget you on one that I might not get you on a future. And frankly, if you feel like I've forgotten you for too long, you can send me a private message and say, Alphinius, do you remember that cool thing I did? How come you don't tell me? Tell people about it.
Yes, please spam Alphinius with criticism and hat emails.
My friends, listen, this is the most important thing. We want this show to be interesting, fun, and enjoyable for the people of the Gooey community. And so if you have thoughts, if you feel like we aren't doing a good job, if you're bored or not interested, right, we need to know that, right? And we need to know other things you want to add. Obviously, I didn't do a GM's tip today because our wonderful conversation with Kerry went long, but that's okay, right? But we want to know how to make this as good as possible for you, and hopefully good enough that you'll share with other people, and this will become a little more popular with folks, and perhaps help Gooey Cube to expand and grow, which really needs to happen, right? If we're going to be able to continue for years to come. So.
Absolutely, and you can send any specific show notes to me on Camera Mandy on Facebook or Discord. So happy to hear any kind of feedback. Although I will say that the feedback today has been very positive. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Great conversation in the chat.
Yeah, I actually, one of the things that I love, when we do a pre-record is I get to actually be in the chat, which is a whole lot of fun, right? So that's very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, our next pre-recorded show will be in 2 weeks, but next week we will be live, and then we will also be going live with the Dungeon of Du'u-Nix. So please join us. Yes,
we're trying to bring Ben on to talk about Germany, and maybe even Tyrone as well, and a couple other folks who are over there across the pond, James perhaps, and so So we're trying to really make this fun and interesting for you with lots of our friends, but hopefully speaking about things that you want to hear about. All right. Anything else, Camera Mandy?
That is it for today.
Then we shall sign out from Goo Morning Zyathé, where we hope that all of your adventures are sticky and there are no hats. Ha ha!